Good evening. Maybe it's good morning, maybe it's good afternoon. What's good is that you are here with us tonight for our community race. Welcome to Free Enterprise tonight as we continue in Senator Crocodile's quest to take over Baron and, dare I say, the world. I have the pleasure of being joined by the Honorable Judge Joe. Joe, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good. Looking at the objectives, it looks kind of familiar. Senator Croc. Senator Crocodile.
You thought you were just going to get commentary tonight, folks, but we're getting music. We got show tunes. I'm willing to bet that behind that microphone were some pretty sick dance moves. We do have some familiar objectives with the Senator Crocodile's quest. For those of you that play Free Enterprise or lurk a lot, you might notice that when we have an alt gauntlet in the Baron Castle area, we come across crocodiles that have been known to become Senator Crocodile. So if you look at our objectives, they are very Baron related. We have Baigen, we have Kenatsu, who in the vanilla game are in the castle. We have Odin, who's underneath, and of course, liberating Baron Castle. So while the objectives remain the same with this flag set, the seat itself, of course, will be randomized, and we don't really know quite what to expect.
Yeah. Well, I know we're going to enjoy some good plays and some fun plays, and some of both from all four of these runners.
These are four very accomplished runners, all of whom you probably saw in the Adamant Cup if you were watching. Possum, of course, went undefeated and ran the table on everyone, so GG's to him for his tournament win. I don't know what's going on today. But please do not sleep on any of these runners. They are well established. They have a high acumen when it comes to FE. And as we all know, sometimes rando's gonna rando, and you absolutely do not know what to expect.
Especially with boss hunts. Well, we only need one key item and the pass technically to finish the game. You may need a lot more than that. You may need to find the package or the darkness crystal. Who knows?
Those boss hunts can be very, very, very tricky. They might be somewhere obvious, like in Baron Inn. As you said, they could be at the package boss, or maybe they are in the CPU spot up on the giant. There are plenty of opportunities for excitement as we are underway. Oh boy.
I don't see any damage yet.
Well, did I say Crystal Sword as one of the starting? Crystal something. But regardless, we have basically no damage input, because as you all might know, Dark Knight Cecil can't really do all that much, and Edward is as useless as not even worthy of a metaphor. Edward is very, very useless, so I have a feeling that we are probably going to be seeing some early looting here.
Edward may currently not do much, but if we find a dancing dagger or a good set of bows, he can definitely get us started. Dancing dagger is very powerful at clearing out these early game locations.
That is very true. We are on Sineki, so there's a chance that he can actually start with the dancing dagger. We've got immediate divergence all over the place. Tybalt is going into Evelyn Castle, as is Possum, as they pull an early Stardust Rod. Jabrun and Esgrun are going over to the Damsian basement. Esgrun's in the Damsian basement, and we have Jabrun looking for the free treasury in Evelyn. Or free treasury in Troy, excuse me.
So for Jabrun, Gungnir Spear. For Esgrun, a vampire's another good early item.
With this party especially, I think looking for J items is going to be huge. There are no free characters to be found. It's very likely they'll be going to Hobbs sooner rather than later. And with this party, there's not a whole lot that they can do. So the sooner that we have J items that can deal some damage, we might get a character that's a little more viable for damage in the early game.
Yeah. The crystal item you saw was some crystal armor.
So close.
So even with Silk Order, that sells for a good starting loot.
Very true. So Possum finds a possum. Possum finds a porum. And he must feel somewhat comfortable about taking on this boss, which is the other brand of Mylon. We had one brand at Baron Castle, we have the other one at Hobbs.
It's the free one.
It
With the
is.
tier 2s started. Very easy to get the damage done needed here.
So. So we apologize for the audio. We're going to try to get that taken care of here. So Possum picking up Porum by the end of this fight, but still that doesn't really solve the DPS and melee issue. So he's still going to have a bit of an issue trying to do some damage early game unless he can go ahead and find, a decent bow and arrows. Tybalt finding a Dwarf Axe, so back rowing will be available, as will be some possible anchoring for agility manipulation, as well as a light sword. So when Cecil becomes a paladin, there is a very solid starting weapon there. Eskrant is looking to go ahead and save the goodies that he found in Eblin, possibly to go ahead and continue the looting or to move on. Whereas Possum, with his Porum in hand, is moving on to his next objective, as Jabrun finds his Mylon Z in just a moment, as well as his Porum. So it's definitely worth noting that Possum did some minimal looting, which is very interesting, especially considering this particular party. The antlion spot that he's heading to is only 1,000 HP and does not have a terrible amount of fear. So even on a weaker party like this, he must feel pretty comfortable going in there. Jabrun enters his fight with Mylon Z. Tybalt is ready to go ahead and do the same, being satisfied with his looting. Eskrant looks like he's going to be doing a complete and full clear of Eblin Castle. And we have Possum finding a D-Mist, which is not threatening, but might be a little bit time-consuming. Although it looks like, at some point, whether he started with it or whether he found it, that's a Black Sword on Cecil. So while DKC is not ideal, that is definitely a best-case scenario for him.
Yep. With the D-Mist, I believe, get to find 2 key items. I believe. Oh, Baron Key, the only required key item. It's just Sydney and 8.
So, he's a pass or darkness crystal away from go mode at 5 minutes in, which is everyone's dream.
And a couple various boss hunts.
Oh, true. So it'll be interesting to see where they go ahead and go next. Jabrun and Tybalt have gone ahead and finished their fights. Eskrant being very thorough with his looting, so we'll see if the extra gear that he picks up turns out to be a bit of a time difference, if he can get through the other fights faster. Possum is the first to go ahead and check on Rydia's mom, and today she has for us the hook.
That's quite possibly our underground access, but another positive is it's a character check, which, if we're struggling for some damage, could be a solution to that.
It definitely could. It's worth noting that there is a very nice Eblin shop that's available with the hook, but as we were talking about before the race started, it is sell quarter. So to your point earlier, that crystal armor might be going depending on if there's Bacchus wines, coffins, hourglasses, sirens, and things of that nature. So we can definitely look for that shop to be being taken advantage of. We also have the rat tail turn-in, which I believe we're going to see in just a few moments. Possum doing a check over at Waterfall, finding only Dark Imps. That is not required, so that'll be a hard reset. I don't believe that we've seen Mist Cave yet, but you have to imagine it's going to be soon. But Possum is going to be turning in this rat tail first.
Another free key item, always good to get the easy ones. Maybe find our magma key, maybe find...
Yeah, you have to imagine they're probably going to want to exhaust every possibility of overworld bosses, especially if that hook route is particularly nasty. Magma Key obviously expedites the process.
And Getting the spoon from the rat tail is very big, and I believe that flag is turned on, so Edward is now our main damage.
Yep, you are very much correct. The spoon flag is on. I don't know if they have a way of back rowing at the moment. Oh, they do with the harp. That's not something you see every day. That's really heads up, because they talk about dwarf axe, back rowing, and of course bow and arrow. But that's, I think we're just so used to Eddie not being used for any kind of damage that using a harp for back rowing is not terribly common. But that's a really heads up play by Possum.
Yeah, I believe that with the Neki, that's what he started. I also, if I remember right, the only non-back row Edward start is the Dancing Dagger. It's possible there's something I'm forgetting, but I believe he typically will come back row.
Absolutely. Speaking of Dancing Dagger, Tybalt found one in Mist, and has now remembered to go ahead and check Rydia's mom. He's going to feel bad about spending that 5,000 on the Dancing Dagger. It probably feels good right now, but once he gets his hook, he's going to find his spoon afterwards. But that's kind of how it goes. Possum has completed the Kaipo guards over at Fabul, and we are going to await to see what we get from here, if anything. It is K Summon and Moon and Main, so there's likely to be some Zonks in the overworld, but that package is not one of them. Boss checks galore, or excuse me, character checks galore for this party.
With the early package, it'll be interesting if one of the boss hunts is there when runners choose to fully dive in and check. If it's a good character or a character we really want, they'll probably check it early. Otherwise, it tends to be one of the last checks done by runners.
You raise an excellent point. I think the time that you get the package, it's almost like when you get the Earth Crystal, right? Like, are they going to spend the time to check the treasury? If you get the Earth Crystal within, let's say, the first half hour or so, absolutely you're going to go ahead and check it. On a boss hunt like this, as we got to look at Mist Cave, and that's just Water Hag. Oh, that's unfortunate. I think when you're in you're hurting for damage with this party, even with the spoon, it doesn't take much for him to go down. Possum sees a Vanilla Rydia and says, you know what? I'm good. I wonder if it does end up being a hook route, if he'll end up going back there, not necessarily for Rydia's abilities, but to have an anchor on the hook route.
That's definitely a possibility. With natural for agility, for early hook routes or dives, very useful, because some of the more other normal anchors are 8 agility, which when you don't have your levels yet can be a little trickier to get RA1 characters.
Absolutely. A lot of our runners in this community have been enjoying the Falcon percent on the ladder, where people have been trying to get through that hook route as quickly as possible. And it's been exciting and fun to see innovative ways for people to go ahead and get through. Speaking of things to get through, Possum not doing the hook route like Tybalt is, as Tybalt's going to find out what's in the shop and the characters, but instead is coming across D-Lunars, which, if you play the game know, have a lovely script where direct attacks are not always great.
Yeah. At this early stage, the magic on the first spot of ordeals is still pretty painful. Needing to make lit ones for Mylon do something to your party. So that virus is probably one-shotting anyone, and we're going to stick with indirect attacks most likely.
1,000,000%. With the spoon being on, I think it's about 3,000, maybe 3,500. There it is. Trying to keep track of the HP so you know when you can finally attack, but do so safely. So as Possum gets through Baron 1, Tybalt and Jabron are going through the hook route. We do see coffins and sirens in the shop. Again, on Cell Quarter, you can't be too crazy with your money. Also, those Thor Rages are nice to have as a safety in case we can run into, we will run into Kanatsu at some point. It's one of our requirements. Put them in a spot with a lot of HP, and that can be a very dangerous fight.
Backpack Octomam is not a terrible fight. The black sword that Possum has does extra damage to Octomam, so DKC can hit hard, Spoonword can hit hard, and you have Porum to keep the party alive or make them angry.
Correct. And for the first 3 hits, as we find a ooh, that's an antlion in the ruby spot. As we find, as you do the first 3 hits on Octomam, 1 tentacle goes down and the agility goes down, and then for every 2 afterwards, it goes lower and lower and lower. Doesn't seem to matter as Possum is through no problem. Jabrun's going to pick up his Palom. Tybalt is doing so as well. So Tybalt and Jabrun have the knowledge of antlion in the ruby spot. They also have access to twin magic, which again, for a party that doesn't have a ton of DPS outside of a very fragile Edward, who can deal, but 1 hit and he's down, that twin magic might play a bit of a role in our seed.
And Escrunt is facing off a Mom Bomb in Baron Inn. I don't know whether this is first or second. Either way, Mom Bomb is scary there.
This is
in
rude.
The second spot, it'll hit hard with the bombs. In the first spot, the explosion does about 250, 300.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised he didn't. I don't know what Eddie has to help him protect from that. This is rude. I believe that was the first spot, and that's just yeah, it is the first spot because he's getting XP. I missed the item that Possum got from. Speaking of rude, it is Witchburn with that Wyvern for Escrunt. I think that Star Veil went up as a reflex or in case of something particularly rude. Hold is not that bad.
Still would have resulted in death if it hit Edward, though.
Yeah. Chat, thank you so much for letting me know that it was a longsword out of Ordeals. So Possum has his Cecil. I don't know if he got the light sword from Evelyn or not. Escrunt is going to go ahead and try to get through 4,000 HP worth of Wyvern in a less than ideal spot. The only saving grace here is that the agility is very low, so you might be able to play life pot roulette, getting people up as you try to chip away at his hit points here.
With Antlion looking like our current route to the underground, the Palom from the Hook route is likely to prove very useful. Being able to bluff and get some Virus or Quake. The ability to input 3,000 to 5,000 damage with 1 character really speeds up the tough Hook route bosses.
Absolutely. When you think Palom and you think Hook route and Palom, you think Quake. I don't know if this party can really handle any of the Eblin traps. I haven't seen Elven Bows, Mute Knives, or a Rune Axe. Oh, there's some Mute Arrows that just got sold. There are Coffins. So maybe between Coffining and some... and there's a Rune Axe in Jabrun's. I need to pay better attention. So apparently...
Also has an Ogre Axe, so we'll have an easy way of one-shotting the Mad Ogres as he heads to Baron Inn to pick up the Yang.
So with this gear available, I think it's likely that we'll be seeing people that are utilizing that gear to not only kill the Mad Ogres in both the Hook route as well as in Cave Evelyn and the Hook route, but also doing some life glitching, trying to get Palom up to level 23, because that Quake, especially when bluffed a couple of times, will not be a direct attack that causes the Antlion's automatic reaction, which cannot be blinked, but can also deal a significant amount of damage.
Another reason that runners might do the Evelyn Castle trap chest, the loot setting is too wildish, so those trap chests have a very likely chance of getting a Holy Sword for our Cecil. So I suspect Possum will be running there. Don't know whether he'll grab the Palom first or not, though.
That's an excellent point. I believe the chance of it being in the Castle Eblin as opposed to the Hook route might be a little bit higher. We saw an awful lot of that in the group stages of the Adamant Cup, and it kind of became canon. But that's an excellent point, and that would be game-changing. If one of our runners can pick up a Holy Sword for Cecil, that that's an exponential advantage that only grows the longer that they have the sword that their opponents don't.
S-Grunt manages to finish off the Wyvern, gets Legend Sword and Yang. So if we don't get a Holy Sword, or no, it's Smith Alt, so it's half of a random tier 7 or 8 item, which could prove helpful for the party.
Correct. Which means it's probably just going to be a white shirt. I feel like it's always a white shirt. I feel like everything's a white shirt. Possum's going to get through this Wyvern fight a lot faster at Baron 2 because he's able to go ahead and cast Berserk on Porum with that spoon going through. Tybalt was able to get through the Looters a little faster with the spoon there first and was able to time out his attacks with a Stardust item, which of course does not get affected by Reflect. We have a lot of...
I suspect that Tybalt used the Stardust Rod with the Palom.
Oh, good call. And that Stardust Rod is going to pay huge dividends if this hook route turns out to be... I think we're out of overworld spots, right? There's no... Oh, I guess Baron Castle. Baron Castle could technically lead to the Magma Key.
Yep, Baron Castle's our only hope of avoiding the Antlion. It's not a terrible choice if it's a required hook route. With 3 boss hunts, I wouldn't feel horrible having to check the King Queen Eblin spot. If with Magma Key routes, that's another spot that often is left alone.
True. As Xenocat's pointing out, it is an objective, and I suppose doing your objectives when you're in a race technically and mathematically might make the race actually go faster. Possum, I suppose, already knew this as he is well underway to find his Mylon and friends. So Possum, I don't believe, has the Palom, so it'll be a little more laborious to get rid of these 4 ghouls. But between a Berserked Eddie and a Cecil that at a minimum can cover, although he can certainly do more than that if he picked up the light sword that was available in Evelyn. He should have no problem whatsoever getting through this fight.
Yep, and J-Brun's doing a Siren on the top of Ordeals, get some early XP on the Palom. Good way to jumpstart the Black Mage who just needs a couple early levels to really help out.
Absolutely. Possum kind of popularized picking up bombs, not big bombs, but just normal bombs that kind of felt like a useless item. But as you're seeing on J-Brun's side, with a Stardust Rod Palom, they can do quite a bit of work. My guess is he's trying to get Palom up to Virus, which can do can really pay off some dividends. And I'm going to ask a very embarrassing question. Where did S-Grunt get the Yang? Where did Yang came from?
Yang was from Baron Inn.
Got it. So, Possum is through the first fight. We'll see if he goes underground for some higher tier looting. He does not. That ninja hat will be nice for fast anchoring a little bit more.
Yeah, Possum's getting party set up for the second spot. The big worry here at this point would be Golbez. Is one of the more annoying spots here, but look, just either Ruby or Elements should be a bit easier.
It would be even easier if they had a Palom, because the elemental damage, if timed correctly against this Ruby, is very good. The magic's a little high here, so every Possum's in it, it's gonna Possum. Every direct attack here will result in a Fire 2 reaction, but with only 4,000 HP here, 3 or 4 swings from Eddie and they should be through.
Although this has a higher magic for an early game, so it can get a little close if you aren't careful.
Correct. So we have our first objective done in the around 22-23 minute mark. Very nice for Possum. We have another character check, and that character is an Edge. I believe I saw a full moon for somebody. Man, it's hard with 4 people to try to keep track of who's got what. So there is a full moon somewhere in the seed. And it's on C Neki, so Edge is not likely to start with anything terribly great. But even the Ninjutsu magic this early on is huge.
Plus, ability to steal, if we never end up finding sirens, want a little bit of a grind, will always prove useful for that.
Very true.
And darts are another method to deal with annoying antlions.
Yep. Chat informing me of all the things that, first of all, ordeals led to a longsword, which 85 people told me. My apologies. And Chat telling me that Possum also has a Mura. So between the ninja hat and that kind of gear, that Edge is going to be ready to go. And even though direct attacks will prompt a response from Antlion, that's some really nice damage to do, especially in what could potentially be a very rude and nasty King-Queen spot.
And we see Possum looks like he's getting set up to do his Evelyn trap hunting. Pretty solid party, trying to get the holy swords to make it just that much better.
This is 1000% a dip for holy swords, or if you get really lucky, an adamant armor. No, I'm sorry, I apologize. Adamants are off. I apologize. So double longsword Edge is not terrible. Tybalt having a little trouble here with what is a very rude trap chest in Evelyn Castle. Probably has a very similar idea, trying to go ahead and get something that is feasible for Cecil. Edward is doing some very nice work, and it looks like he'll get through this first one, so it'll be interesting to see what the gear is.
Yep, and Jaybrun is done with the sirens on ordeals and has a paladin, so next stop is likely to be Baron Inn and Baron Castle.
That virus is going to make a lot of things go faster, including any trap chests that he chooses to do, including the fights that are in the Baron in Baron Castle. Anytime you do any kind of grind, the question always becomes, am I gonna get the time back? And if you are, then it's great, and you'll make up for it. So we'll see if that time investment getting Hallam up to Virus turns out to be worth it.
And the first trap chest, the Staleman trap chest, had an excal for both Possum and Tybalt.
So that's going to make a huge difference. Possum says, that's what I wanted. Thank you very much. I'm good. And at 26 minutes is more than likely going to go ahead and find his Palom, who might be used as an anchor, quite frankly, and head down the route. Tybalt wants more. I don't know if he's looking for Crystal or what. Well, that Avenger is a huge pull. Oh, man.
And one thing Tybalt's probably looking for, Possum doesn't know that it's an antlion and doesn't know about Palom. However, Tybalt does have Palom, so he's doing this also as a hit quake check.
That's extremely true. I've joked with Possum that someday I hope in my life I find someone that looks at me the way that Possum looks at an Avenger. That dude loves Avengers. With the antlion spot specifically, you have to be really careful about berserking anybody, because those counters are going to be ridiculous. But on the flip side, you have Zeus Gauntlet berserked Excal Cecil. That's about 25,000 HP there. It's really just going to be a matter of calculation and how quickly can you get your heals up. Possum burned through all of his Cure 2s between the D-Lunars fight and then Mylon Z, so I don't know how much healing he really has outside of Porum.
The white shirt from Baron will help Porum even with only Tier 2 heal a lot though. Plus 15 will can the stats do matter with spells.
Yeah, we joke about White Shirt being at Pink Tail and White Shirt being at Forge. The reason why White Shirt is there is it is a tier 7. It's an excellent piece of gear. There have been seeds where we've seen runners put Cecil in a White Shirt just for the added defense. So in addition to the willpower boost, the defense is huge. That's an excellent point.
So now we see if Palom joins the party, and yes, Palom joins. Yang goes home for Possum.
So he doesn't even have to worry about keeping Palom down if he's trying to use... Palom's not fast, and the agility doesn't grow all that much. You're not going to get any experience from the King-Queen spot, and then if you're using, Palom as an anchor for that antlion fight at the Ruby spot, it doesn't really matter all that much if he gets levels. Moving forward, he does know where Iridia is at the package. That might become a boss check later on. But it'll be interesting to see if Possum leaves Palom alive or not during the antlion fight, or if he tries to. It might be out of his control.
And we see the rest of the runners clearing out the overworld. Highbolt is doing the Baron Inn, J-Brun's heading to Baron Castle, and S-Grunt, having done Baron Inn, has just finished Ordeals and will likely... Still doesn't have the hook from Mist, but will probably stop by Baron Castle.
That D-Mist is... anyone that's run the game has made silly mistakes, right? You forget your battle speed, you forget this, you forget that. Between how often flags will switch between a key item being on or not, forgetting D-Mist is a very easy thing to do if you don't do it right away. As Possum finds Bahamut, this is a very punchy spot, so a boss like Bahamut is actually pretty nice to find here. This is basically free. At worst case scenario, if he's not getting the 8,000 damage, Eddie can just go ahead and hide, come back, and his spoon can take care of the rest. So this is a relief to find if you are any of these runners. Joe, let me ask you, on a seed like this, when you have boss hunts, are you almost relieved to have a forced hook route so that you're forced to check these bosses?
It's definitely nice. If everyone has to do a hook route, there's not going to be any advantage to doing it, so it removes one of the possible gambles you could be nervous about.
You bring up an excellent point. The hook route does require a certain level of understanding to get through, especially with a spot like Antlion. With these 4 runners, though, these are 4 experienced runners, when they all have to do the same thing, which is exactly what's happening here. As we see a Drain Spear getting darted to avoid the reaction. Down goes Palom. Oh, we're getting zerked. We're getting some counters. Here we go. And Cecil tried to cover for Eddie there and was just a little bit too late. So Possum's going to be in a little bit of cleanup mode here. J-Brun going ahead and finding his Ruby and King spot. Tybalt about to find his Mylon and friends. S-Grunt not far behind. But this fight's going to take a little while for Possum at this point.
Yeah. This is one of those fights that you clean out the inventory, throwing anything you just do not care about at the Antlion.
Yep.
Gonna need to get some heals with Forum, but as long as the counters keep going to Cecil, should be fine.
Yep, and that is a second attempt to try and cover Eddie that has not quite happened. With that crystal armor, you almost wish you could just leave everyone at a critical health, but the problem is those counters cannot be covered and then will kill anyone in critical health. So it's, there we see, Porum getting covered, but if there's a direct hit and a and an attack on a low HP character, they're going to go down. This is a kind of a nasty fight. Whenever you see an X-Cal Cecil casting Cure 2, you know that maybe your fight isn't going quite the way that you wanted it to.
At least the X-Cal boosts your healing stats, I remember right. Unless that's just Crystal Sword, but I think the X-Cal also gives will.
I think you're correct. And there's nothing like X-Cal boosting willpower strats for a free Enterprise race. As Possum does get his cover off, so he has stabilized the fight. Do you know if the crystal armor will negate those counters from even going through?
I don't know the exact details about counter. I think it's a physical attack despite looking like magic. So I don't know what exactly determines when you dodge it or not.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see if Cecil ever gets hit directly. The amount of times that we learn new things about this game is just shocking. As down goes Eddie, so they'll be in recovery mode over here. Jabron giving us a look at the barren basement, and we find a doable CPU.
Nominally free. We have backroad characters for the most part. We have some amount of healing. Some runners may even have Quake if you want to go that route, but we'll see.
I mean, so the full moon will allow Edge to go. Oh, he's going for it here. We're in this. The full moon will allow for Edge to attack the back CPU for full damage. Low HP numbers on a attacker that does percentage is good. It means that Porum's Cure 2s will actually do quite a bit. But this becomes a matter of would you versus should you. You have the key item that you need outside of the Pass and Darkness Crystal. As you pointed out earlier, at this point we are only on a boss hunt. CPU is not one of those bosses. You're going to get a lot of that. You're going to get a good amount of XP here. And you're going to take care of a check. And K-Summon is on, but K-Summon is not as likely as K-Main. Is this really what you want, what you should be doing, even though that you can?
I mean, it's not necessarily the odds play, the one that's most likely to get you there, but in a community race, when there's a bunch of very good runners in it, when you see names like Possum and many others, sometimes you need to take gambles if you have the best chance of winning.
Yeah. I mean, Backroads Spoon doing about 1100. Edge doing, as Possum gets through a less than ideal pitfall, a less than ideal antline fight. So GG's to him. That he did he called a lot of audibles there to get through that. So that was excellent. As we find, was that Evil Wall at the top of top of tower? It was Evil Wall. Thank you very much. Magic voice in my ear with all the answers. So Possum is the first underground. Tybalt is going to go ahead and find his CPU and make a decision. Escrunt gets his white shirt, completes his objective. Everyone has now completed Baron Castle, and the siege continues.
Escrunt heads straight to the Mist Dragon. Will get the hook and know where dark underground access lie.
We'll probably be checking his rat tail first. I wonder if he forgot and realized he was out of checks and then remembered, or if this was all part of the process. Tybalt has killed the attacker, so maybe doing an unintentional orb grind here. Or he might just be YOLOing it.
That's a Zerked up Cecil, putting the Berserk on the Spoon Word, throwing the Light Sword. We're going full force at it.
Leroy Jenkins. Uh-oh.
Aggressive approach, but with the amount of damage and the lower HP at the spot, should be able to get through this way.
Yeah, I like it. I like the play. He's not even getting pour him up. He's just going. There's about 18,000 HP on that CPU. That hurts. So will he? Oh, and he gets through. Calculated Tibble with an excellent CPU fight. He got in after Jabron did, but finished early. Only to find a Zeus Gauntlet. That's going to hurt a little bit worse for Jabron than it is for Tibble. While Eddie cannot equip it, Edge certainly can. So, not what you wanted, but it will help.
And Esgrun's gearing up his ninja, getting prepared for what lies ahead, while Possum is fighting Dwarf 1 and looks to be determined to keep Palom as an anchor.
Yep, it's a anyone that watches Possum, as we all have done plenty, knows that he does love his anchoring, and as he's getting ready for Fey March and Moon eventually, definitely preparing for that. That's not a terrible fight to find here. The magic's a little bit high, but he's fast anchored with Edge to help get more attacks in.
The big CPU orb goes down for Jabron, so also getting through the fight. Very well done for him.
Find a Sid. We get rid of a Sid. I know a certain free Enterprise runner that's not too happy about that. You have to imagine if they had the equipment, he might want to have. If he had a curse ring, he'd probably swap out Palom for that Sid, because Sid becomes very viable as a slow anchor with quite a bit of HP during a Z fight, can turn into a chemist. We have a karate fight here, which shouldn't be that bad. Only 3,000 HP. Eddie delivers the killing blow, which is not something you say every day. And Dwarf 2 is complete. It's like Esprint. I apologize. Go ahead.
And we get to see the creeping hand through a cutscene as we wait to find out the reward from Dwarf Castle.
It's worth noting that even if Palom had been kept up to get levels, the warp glitch is off on this seed. So Luca may or may not be required, but there is no cheesing it. You'd probably go back in there for the boss check anyway, but the item has to be got through the traditional manner. Only a crystal ring from Dwarf Castle. Great item, great for agility, not great for progression.
The defense is quite nice also. It's probably the best ring you can find for an Edward, allowing a little more speed, not that that's necessarily needed, but also providing protection from dragons and heavy boost to the defense for Edward who needs it.
It is a wonderful item. Between that and protect rings, sometimes it's hard to choose between the two. We've got back-to-back shopping here. My frames dropped out. I'm not quite sure what was in that item shop in Tamara.
I believe I saw elixirs, but not certain.
So a lot of crisscrossing here. Jabron doing Eblin Castle. Tibble about to go ahead and dive into his hook route. If his CPU approach was any indication, I think we might be seeing some YOLOing on that Antlion fight, especially with the Avenger. Plus, he's got some extra levels because he did do that CPU fight. He finds his Bahamut. Jabron about to find his Excal. And we're into the Fey March, about to find the freebie.
There's that Luca key.
There it is. So that'll be another boss check, another key item spot. We'll also be, of course, getting two... Ooh, those hourglasses are very nice in that item shop. We will, of course, be getting a peek at two more bosses here. Haste Summon is on. These are difficult spots. He does have an Excal, Crystal Sword, Cecil. He does have a Spoon, Eddie. He does have Edge. It would be maybe a little bit early to go ahead and take on one of these bosses, depending on who they are. But we'll see what happens.
Well, we found our turtle.
we have found our required Kenatsu at the Ashura spot. I believe that's what, 28,000 HP there?
I think that number sounds about right. If Possum purchased a Thor Rage, I know that he is very well versed in nerfing the waves with any amount of anchoring, so just need to get someone fighting, nerf the wave, and should be through the fight with enough damage to prevent the remedy loop.
Possum is definitely very well versed at that. It's especially at RA1. It's almost one of the situations where you almost wanted everyone to be at RA1 because the timing kind of becomes muscle memory in terms of when you're going to go ahead and nerf. Zeno in chat, thank you for correcting me. It's only 23,000. It's only 23. That wave, I believe, does either 4 to 6% or 4 to 7% of its total HP. This is a spot where Tybalt and now Jabron, who have the Avenger, are going to have an easier time getting through this because of the fact that they have the Avenger to go ahead very quickly berserk that Cecil. We might have noticed that Possum has the white shirt on Cecil because if he was wearing the crystal armor, berserk would not go ahead and go through.
It is the best defensive gear outside of crystal armor for Cecil, so makes sense if we're having a front row Cecil to have that, so you don't berserk Cecil only for the turtle to punch him and knock him out.
Tybalt is aggressively going after his antlion, as Eddie is aggressively killing Yang to maintain the anchor there. The extra levels from the CPU fight are really paying dividends because it allows him to be a little more aggressive and use Porum for healing. Not for exit. That hurts. That's a bit of a miss menu right there.
Possum got the party equipment all set up, but something didn't quite feel right, so resets out.
Looks like he was late to nerf the wave, and rather than watch the inevitable, just force quit out to save time. Tybalt, through his antlion fight extremely quickly, like we keep talking about. Is your grind going to pay back that time later? That fight took Possum an awfully long time, and it was impressive and it was well done for where the levels were at. Tybalt got through much faster. You have to wonder if he's going to get through the underworld faster as well. Possum not doing a Thor Rage. I do believe he's hiding with Eddie. I think he's looking to solo this damage-wise with Cecil, chop through that XP, bring Eddie back to go ahead and revive people, and then get through the rest of the fight that way. It looks like that's what he's doing here, and he's already chopped through half that XP. It's not a bad play. It's actually extremely heads up.
Yeah. Now that we've gotten through most of it, it was down to 600. 2 more hits should be survivable with Cecil and Edward at this point, so should be done with the fight.
That's gonna be an objective for Cecil as he's in the shell phase. A really heads up and most importantly, a very fast fight. It'll be a little easier for Tybalt to do something similar, and you imagine that he will, judging by his approach on both CPU and the antlion, because you can Avenger glitch Cecil, and then you can go ahead and probably just zerk up Eddie, and you might be able to get through it after one wave. Well, ooh, that's nice. An objective and a crystal sword. Not a bad use of your time.
Or do you consider taking the Dark Elf? Because Cecil will be doing Quad 9s the moment you set him aloft.
Is it Dark Knife at the Leviathan spot?
Dark Elf, yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Excuse me, Dark Elf. You absolutely do. There is, and even if you were worried, which there's no reason to be worried, he also bought hourglasses, so he could go ahead. I mean, it's punchy. When it turns into the Dark Elf phase, it's going to be punchy. Another advantage with the Avenger is that should Cecil get turned into a pig, you can't cast Berserk, but the Avenger will go through no matter what. As Eskrun is entering into the beginning of his hook route, and Tybalt is going to find his fun over at Dwarf Castle. But yes, this is a no-brainer. You have everything you need to get through this fight and relatively quickly.
And Jabrun also starts to head to the first boss fight, encounter the Bahamut as well.
So the seed has turned out to be pretty linear. We don't have a ton of options. Depending on what this spot gives, the only things left are Sheila 1, Keyless Tower, and Luca. That's not a lot. None of those things are terribly appealing. I suppose Luca is really not so bad for this party, but like you said, we only need Pass or Darkness Crystal for Go mode. It's a long check for one boss.
And at this point, we've already checked the top power boss, knowing that that's not required. So we only have at the moment 2 unknown boss hunts at this time: the package boss and the Luca boss. So we're gonna need to get some more key items if we're going to complete the seed.
We are. That mass is great for edge, but it is not great for progression. Really nice blink by Possum on Cecil, because as we've said earlier, that Leviathan spot can really punch. And Cecil's right there in the front. Very well anticipated, very well executed. Fey March is done. Tybalt is done with his Dwarf Castle, and Jabrun and Eskrun are well on their way to completing a very gross hook route.
Looks like Jabrun is going Quake strats, has the Cecil set up in the back row, cover some people. Definitely a good method to get through.
Absolutely, it's safe. We've seen more aggressive plays from some of our other runners, but it's undeniably a good play. It'll get through, and it's a really nice use of like that right there. Understanding that by using the X-Cal as an item, it doesn't do anything as an item. Why would you do that? But it helps to go ahead and keep the counter intact, so that the cover intact. So he doesn't lose his ability to go ahead and cover his lower hit point party mates.
And Eskrun's going through the pile of darts to get through the antlion with lots of life potions to cover the dead people.
Eskrun did, he went hunting for those life pots. He went over to Agert, which without the magma key might seem a little bit silly, but he found a bunch of life pots and bought them, probably anticipating this being a little bit gross. So that's excellent anticipation. As you said, Edge darting out the inventory to both do damage and avoid those counters. Possum did save Scum outside, as well as a second save of that slot. See what the key item is. If it's anything even remotely that smells like progression, he's going to fall. He's going to take this out. Well, that's not progression. So at this point, unless it's Baigen or Odin, you can more or less bet on him hard resetting out and taking on either Sheila 1 or going to the top of tower to find Evil Wall.
And just an Ashura fight, so yeah, we're down to 2 paths available to our runners. Sheila 1's free and easy, so Possum's doing that in hopes of the tower key before the keyless tower.
Would you drop a save Scum here outside the tower just in case? Like you go to Shield 1 and it's nothing, and then you can go ahead and hard reset and go up the tower?
It's definitely an option. At this point, I feel really surprised if Sheila 1 held nothing, so that it might be why not. And to me, it's definitely a toss-up if I do Keyless Tower hoping for the pan, or Sheila 1 hoping for the tower key.
Yeah, I mean, we need something. There's nowhere left to go. He's going right to Sheila. Escrunt's life pot roulette seems to be stabilized a little bit, as the cover strats seem to be working pretty well. And he's just chipping away there. Tibble
is another thing you can do with Cecil to avoid dropping the cover script too. So another good thing done from Escrunt's side.
Yep, and he's getting in a little bit of trouble here. We'll see if he can go ahead and get out of it. Tybalt does a little do-si-do as he celebrates the fact that he can go ahead and get through this, or maybe he's not all that happy about finding a Kainatsu here. I'm very interested to see the approach he takes to this fight with major DPS from Excal Cecil and the Avenger and a Spoonward Eddie. And given his aggressive nature on some of the fights earlier, I want to see something similar. Hey, what do you know? We got a tower key from Possum. That's progression. So doing keyless tower was clearly not the play. Possum doing his freebie first, which was smart.
Definitely makes you feel better about doing Sheila 1 before the tower.
Absolutely. Looks like Escrunt has stabilized his Antlion fight a little bit for the time being. Jay Brun is underground and will begin his underground quest. And here we see a Bacchusing. I don't know where those came from. Oh, that might be a hard reset right there. Cecil going down with one shot. I don't know if this is salvageable here. You're looking at 2,200 per round. You might get it down to, I don't know, 16,000. 4% of that's about what? 500-600 with this wave? I don't know.
It's going to be tight no matter which way it is. So we'll see.
I mean, the Thunderclaw is doing some extra elemental damage here, but that's he's going for it. I mean, here we go. Does Eddie live? That's really the big thing here. Yeah.
Porum did not survive. No more health on Tybalt's Porum than Possum's, but less damage done before the wave, so Porum is dead either way.
Yeah, that's just really unfortunate RNG there. I mean, he anticipated the problem. He tried to get the blink on Cecil right away. 20% chance of him getting boinked. That's exactly what happened. Escrunt is going for broke. I don't know if he's been counting HP or not, but he did just berserk up Eddie, who unfortunately went down. He's fighting hard. This is a nasty spot, and he's showing a lot of guts here getting through this.
Possum finds the evil wall that we knew was at the top of tower, and slowly inching wall later, we'll find out if we actually get more key items.
Yep. Chat doing us a solid. The pass was both a shop and key item possibility, and it was found in Fabul. Not sure who of our runners have the pass right now, but it was accessible to everybody. Okay. Thank you very much. All right, so Possum and Escrunt with the pass, so they are technically in Goma. Once they find their bosses, we'll be able to go ahead and get to Z. So if the bosses are not on the moon, then the moon won't be required. All four of our runners are now officially underground, and this spot doesn't hit terribly hard. With the evil wall at the top of the tower, it is just an awful lot of HP.
1,900 and some change, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but that Excal is just shredding through everything, and Possum is through very quickly, and we will soon know what key item or zonk we have here. Okay, well, in case you missed it, for Bull.
Speaking of passes.
Speaking of passes. And passes, right? There it is. So, you know, I don't know. I'm a packer. I like to make sure if I'm going on a trip or somewhere, I like to make sure I have my itinerary in 4 different spots, and I could see myself being that guy that loses my first pass. So hey, second pass, we're fine. Good. Tower Key gives us another boss check, and that is a required Baiken. We are an Odin away from go mode.
And for Possum, only 2 spots left. Possum has not done the CPU fight, so once this chain leads to darkness, we'll see if Possum checks there before heading to darkness.
Possible that we might get Twin Harp or Earth Crystal, something that leads into darkness, kind of by a proxy there. There's a chance that we might be skipping the overworld completely. We do know that sirens are for sale in the Emblem shop, but we also know that it's sell quarter. If there's not enough money to grind, should we avoid going to the moon? And this is a huge conjecture, a huge set of ifs here. You have a Porum that can cry, and you have an Edge that can steal. So there's opportunity for a lot of divergence, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes on. But possibly
another lower budget option if you have the Darkness Crystal. We have both chance of Cover Strat Cecil and Blink, so the behemoths from Cave Bahamut are a very good grind option if you have 10 key items, and also provide a good amount of money as well.
That's an excellent point. Speaking of grinding, Jabrun taking an egg here. Maybe trying to get Palom, maybe just trying to get a little bit stronger, knowing that the bosses down here are a little less than ideal. Escaron entering his summon monsters, and Tybalt very quickly going to go ahead and disperse of this Dark Elf.
Hourglass Throne, Cecil's Zerk, the fight's over for Tybalt, and he'll be done with his Fey March now, as Escaron is about to find the turtle.
Speaking of items that can create chains, we got a pan. So this is 2 more item checks. Maybe we'll get Darkness directly. Maybe we'll get both Earth Crystal and Twin Harp, giving Possum a real Sophie's choice here. Which one of those he's going to want to check? No, it's not. He would absolutely do Earth Crystal because he loads Twin Harp and his 2 boss checks. But let's see what we get. Earth
Crystal maybe 2, but with the positioning with the fact that we're at 1 HP from the Sylph Cave walk, or likely close, odds are this is the best time to check a potential Twin Harp, if ever.
That's an excellent point. You would very quickly get through that script to get to music sooner than possible. Just a Leviathan from the Panbonk, so Sheila 2's got to have the goods. Would have been nice if she'd given it up there in the first place to help us along. We're trying to save the world here, or we're trying to get Senator Crocodile, in power. So maybe Sheila knows something about Senator Crocodile's ethics that the rest of us don't, and but can't resist a good pan. So she's gonna. I don't know. I'm tired. I don't know.
But Sheila does know and is giving us the darkness. That is another, I believe, 8 boss checks available to us. So at this point, we are only missing 2 boss checks available to us. Slot 2 and the Twin Harp.
So let me ask you, okay, let's say you're running the seed and you're in Possum's position. You need 1 boss check, and then you're in go mode. We only have 2 items between Twin Harp and Earth Crystal that can lead to more bosses. Do you just go to the moon? And it looks like, if I had to guess, Possum's going to buy some sirens here. Do you just go to the moon and search for Odin and exit out? Or do you find bosses that you know that you can handle and continue on looking for that progression?
I would definitely be face checking bosses, resetting out if it's not Odin. If I found one that's like extremely free, like guards or something that can be done really fast, I might take it, potentially the Ribbon Room. perhaps, but for the most part, only missing 2. We've got, on Possum's end, about 10 or 11. The odds are very much that we have access to the Odin spot.
It's true. So Possum has not checked Baron Basement. He has not checked Hackage. He has not checked Zot 1, which he can get to, but it looks like he's going to the moon. Jabron is grinding. We got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 key items on his side, but he has decided this is the time. He's going for it. That tells me that when he gets to the Fey March, he just wants to go ahead and single clear it. He doesn't quite know that it's pretty manageable. That Kanasa's a little gross. But this tells me that he's in it now. Once he's done, completed this grind, whoever he faces, and that's it.
Levels always do solve problems. If you're worried about a fight, with boss checks the only things left, there can be some pretty difficult spots, so getting ready for them is not a bad idea if you're worried.
Absolutely. So we have a lot of crisscrossing. We have a grind going through here. I think now is an excellent time to go ahead and shout out our runners. If you are not giving any of these wonderful gentlemen a follow, you should. They are wonderful people, as are so many people in the free enterprise community. I'm going to interrupt my own plug of them because I'm really excited because Tybalt's doing the package check. And oh, baby, if this is Odin, that's going to be huge. But also, our Restream team is wonderful. Who better to do tracking than a certified librarian who also turns out to be a gourmet chef? I found out about 45 minutes ago. Skull Kitty, the heart and soul of free enterprise, and the best honorable person you can come across, my co-commentator, Judge Joe.
Don't forget yourself. You're definitely a great person. Both fun to watch and listen to as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, Tybalt with the slow anchor, having Sid in the center spot, makes this cutscene go a little bit faster. Possum's heading to the moon. Escrunt heading over to Dwarf. I believe that might have been Jabrun's last siren, and his grind is done. Everyone is off to their endeavor, and Possum going to Cave Bahamut first, more than likely for a boss check, for a face check. If it's free, would you take the fight here if you're Possum?
I believe I'd take any of the fast free fights. If there's a slower fight that's technically free, I probably wouldn't. Like, Golbez is doable.
The magic is incredibly low here. And I think if he puts the crystal armor on, I think that will go ahead and avoid all the things. But we have a King Ryu. We have his grind happening here. That's a Sparkle, not an Odin on Tybalt's side. I am crushed emotionally. But there it is. Key atomize. Possum's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So with a life glitch, this will be 180,000 XP a pop. He bought 5 of them. So you're looking at in the vicinity of 900,000 XP here, should he go ahead and attack all 5. That's going to get Porum to white and to Cure 4.
And get Porum some HP, which is almost the more important thing. It can Porum's HP pool lacks behind Roses a lot, so getting that HP up is very important for a safe feeling Z fight.
1000%. Porum gets a lot of hate, but in the early game, Porum's wonderful because Porum learns Berserk and Blank a lot faster than Rosa. But as you're saying, you're 1000% correct as Tybalt finds his Baigen. In the late game, it's an issue. And Possum being pretty heads up on how to go ahead and deal with it. Oh, and chat pointing out exit early on without doing Tower of Zot. Another early Porum advantage.
And S runs through Dwarf, and J runs about to get through this turtle with those HP pools. Should be able to handle it, no problem at all.
Yep. Everyone is handling their bosses with a tremendous amount of skill and acumen. It's just a matter of who's going to find Odin first. You know, if when they go up to the moon, because they all will at some point, you know, are they going to face check? Are they going to find an item? If you feel behind and you get an Earth Crystal, do you leave the moon because you feel behind? There's a lot of potential for variance, despite how linear this seed has been. I'm extremely excited to see how this turns out.
Yeah, definitely gonna be fun. It's going to be interesting if Zot 1 holds the Odin, because that's been open to us the entire time. But do you check it ever, or when do you check it?
I mean, that's a I feel behind. That's a I wiped on a boss after 11 minutes and oh my goodness gracious, look at these runners that I'm going up against. That's a situation for that. It's unlikely to see that with any of our runners, but man, what a 5D chess, big brain, legendary play that would be if that turned out to be the case.
Yep. Jay run through the turtle, getting the crystal sword, so bigger numbers will be coming from the Cecil.
Also, no one, Possum, when he got the Darkness Crystal, did not check the first spot of elements. So if it's on the Giant, that could be another bit of variance. Possum inexplicably doesn't want to fight that Golbez and is headed to the LST, satisfied with his grind and his levels.
I mean, at least if you chose to fight it, the Crystal Sword does quad 9s to Golbez usually. Question, maybe?
Oh, he'd get through it, but I think it's just a matter of risk versus reward.
High risk, probably low reward.
Yeah. As we said earlier, the K summon, even if we are looking for some kind of progression that leads to it eventually, the K summon spots are less likely. Possum might need to go to a meeting. Did he just buy 50 Bacchus wines?
Quite possibly.
I know he's got three melee characters, but party at Possum's. You can find them.
I mean, always nice when Porum doesn't have to worry about getting the party berserked and just needs to keep them alive with Blink, which is probably the best spell in the game.
Yep. And Possum's class and night. If I'm having a night like that, it's not wine. But all that being said, we're gonna find out which character is gonna be ignored here. Is there any character you take?
Probably not at this point. Done your grind, even a Fusoya. Cecil maybe. I might.
This is where the Avenger gets interesting. I don't think he takes a Cecil here. For the other characters, you have an X-Cal and a Crystal Sword, but Massa, Power Shirt, Edge, and they have. He only has just the one Zeus Gauntlet, but even one Crystal Sword Cecil makes basically the seed free. So
I suspect if Possum hadn't just done the grind, we would have been seeing Cecil instead of either Edward or Edge. One of them would probably have been replaced by the Cecil. But because we did the grind in Cave Bahamut instead of LST, no Cecil for Possum.
I agree. Escrunt is going to find his X-Cal as he's going through the Ebon Castle traps. Hippold is going to have some decisions to make as he goes through Shield 2 and will find his Darkness Crystal. I'm not quite sure where he's headed, though. Oh, he hasn't done his looking check yet. A little suspect to me, at least, that Possum did not check... You're looking for one boss. He did not check the Pale Dim spot on the way down.
Well, quicker, it is less likely to hold it. 4 checks to 1, so Possum is going to the highest density, greatest likelihood of play at this point. And with the pass, you don't have to worry about rewalking at this point. So it's a little bit of a risk, but the odds do favor this check.
So does this tell you that he's looking for key items for Darkness Crystal, excuse me, for Earth Crystal or for Twin Harp, or is he face checking? I mean, going to Ribbon Room first, I would assume he's going to take this fight, right? Or not?
Nope, just face checking.
Thanks, Possum. Well, we're going to get a lot of information in a short amount of time as Possum face checks these bosses. Tybalt's going to find out that his Luke Cave, I believe, was a Zonk. I didn't see what was in the Ribbon Room, but it clearly was of no interest to Possum because it wasn't Odin.
Calbrena Dolls and Ribbon, Valvalis and the White Spear. So 1 spot left in the very bottom before Crystal Sword and Mura. I suspect we leave some saves back here, though, if boss checks prove to be of no use.
I suspect that you're right. Somebody in chat had hoped for Odin to be at this particular spot. Let's see if his or her their wish comes true. Nope. Swing and a miss. And with every boss that doesn't get checked, I'm just hoping for something rude. I'm hoping for Zot 1. I'm hoping for CPU spot. Every time Possum comes up a little bit short here, it opens the window that much more for our other runners to do something a little bit gutsy and really take a chance.
I am definitely a huge Zot 1 fan. Always amusing to me when, darn, I really could have finished 40 minutes ago. It may feel bad in the moment, but it is something that I can look back and laugh about when it happened.
To answer a question in chat, D-Mist was in Antlion Cave. Well, a very doable Magus Sisters there, although it'll punch, but the magic won't be bad. We're exiting out and gonna check that Mura altar. If that's not it, don't forget Possum still hasn't done Baron Basement. Possum hasn't done Package. Possum hasn't done Elements. Do you commit to the face check, or do you start full clearing here so you never have to come back?
At this point, having started the face check, I probably commit to it. I will run through the rest of my checks. Levels are almost ready, so I probably will reset out of CPU if I end up having to do that. Or if I go through the elements spot.
Am I seeing this correctly? Is Tybalt doing his grind with 9 key items? Am I counting right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That hurts a little bit. That's a little. Or does Tybalt have the Darkness Crystal? And
I think I saw 34,000, so that looks like only 9 key items.
That's rough. Escaron's going to find his orbs down in Baron Basement and make a decision on what he wants to do. Jaybrun beats his evil wall at the top of tower.
It's a pass, so even without shopping for it, does have Zeromus access as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, a not terrible alt gauntlet of the Mura spot, but not ideal. Let's go to the Giant, folks. Gotta love a boss hunt. I'm trying to think who we haven't seen that would be particularly rude at this spot. We've seen a lot of bosses, obviously, already. We've seen some of the worst ones here. I don't think there's any particular boss that is scary necessarily.
Not for this party. Element spot's mostly HP based. Yes, it can hit somewhat hard at times, but for most of the scary bosses are things like Heinazo or even Wyvern, where the wave will deal a lot of damage. the Wyvern has enough health that the nukes can do some damage in the spots fast.
Well, Tybalt's about to get his Darkness Crystal. If it ends up being up here, up in the Giant, and Tybalt goes there first, that'll be a big brain play. If Tybalt just starts clearing out bosses to try to find Twin Harbor Earth Crystal, that would be a big brain play. Is this even?
I think the answer is no.
This is not going to be a very long Elements fight. I know there's a lot of HP here. This is not going to be a very long Elements fight.
Well, the middle spots are resistant to the Holy Sword. Both the first and the last are weak to the Crystal Sword, so shouldn't be that much, just about 100,000 HP to get through.
Yep. Is Tybalt doing Zot 1? Is Tybalt doing Zot 1? Oh, baby, I think Tybalt's doing some Zot 1. Oh, let's go. Tybalt,
At this point, when Possum gets through Elements and Tybalt checks Zot 1, we'll know whether or not clearing out the moon's required.
Oh, this is delicious. This is absolutely wonderful. I'm all about it. If Odin's here and Tybalt's done with his... Maybe that's why he did the grind now, because he's thinking, I know it's 9 key items, that's less than ideal, but... and that's got to feel bad, get the Darkness Crystal from Sheila, but for 10. But I wonder if he's thinking, listen, if this is it, I'm in go mode, I'm gone. I'm done. Let's go. GG's. So, this is very exciting. It's not even going to save. We're going to find out about 15 seconds just how glorious this check actually is.
I mean, if it's Odin as you hope, you aren't scared. Nope. Wrong game.
Ah! That's so mean. That's so mean, game. Come on now. Ugh. Well, the search continues. Could be Zot 2. Possum predictably through the Elements fight with no problem whatsoever. I'd be shocked if he doesn't swag walk it. And we're going to find out who's at CPU, so that'll be another check.
I might end up healing the party. That spot can punch hard, and if you don't get secure in time, you will die. The Odin, unless you hide Edward, but other than that, no need to save. Party's strong, you have Bacchus, you'll either clear it or reset.
Yep. And a few Cure 4s, and drop down the battle speed, and we're on our way. Jabron is off to the tower. Tybalt has his set of decisions to make. That could have been so gross, even with a hiding Eddie. That could have been so gross if he hadn't done his grind. I don't even if he's even going to get through this. Oh, he is. Whew.
I think that white shirt's still.
Oh man. Opting not even for the experience. Save scumming to go ahead and start clearing out his boss spots. So here we see a masterful use of save states. These dolls are not long for this world. I wonder if we'll see an hourglass here to avoid the big doll, but honestly, even if it turns into the big doll, it's just going to get shredded. I missed, how many wines did Tybalt just buy? Is this a thing? Just buying 50 wines and going?
You can't take the extra money with you, I guess.
I guess. Was it in Ocean's 11? They're like, I want my last check to bounce. Listen, I'm down for a party on the moon. Okay, sounds good to me. I don't know. Who needs a bouncy castle when your entire atmosphere is a bouncy castle? I'd be down. Escrow taking out
to take himself out, so Anchor is preserved.
Yep. Gotta love a game where we take out the small child with an ice spell so that all the adults can go ahead and drink a ton of wine.
But S runs through the power key. J runs checking the package. Has gotten the tower key, so we'll be back to just the super cannon room. But
Yep. Tybalt's gonna find his bad news. No progression. Silver Apple and a Pink Tail. Adamants are off on this seed, so that Pink Tail will be a random tier 7, tier 8. It will not be an Adamant armor. And with this party, there's really no need to check it anyway, so that's probably just going to sit in the inventory. Val is gross and frustrating often, but this is not going to be any kind of problem here.
Val is most frightening to a party of mages. We are almost the furthest from that, so it should not prove to be that much of an issue with damage we're putting out.
That is correct. Tybalt and Jabron are simultaneously getting their disappointment from their bold checks between package and it's one. Tybalt saying not worth the time. If it's on the CPU spot, I've lost, and that's fine. We know that's the right decision, and that's going to help save some time. So the question becomes: does Tybalt face check, or does Tybalt clear bosses? We know the right play at this point, with the knowledge that we have, is for Tybalt to go ahead and take out this Golbez and hope that leads to Earth Crystal or Twin Harp and go there. But he, of course, has no way of knowing that.
So far, bottom up is not proving to be the what we want, but it still has 2 chances to redeem itself.
Escrunt clears his top of tower, so he's moving right along. I mean, if you're Possum, the Antlion fight took a while, but he also went there ridiculously early. So, you know, there's no reason for him not to go ahead and follow the math of it, right? He did all the face checks. It wasn't there. You know, it was more likely that it was going to be a face check than not. He did all of that. So now I'm in the spot with the most key items to go ahead and find the key items. The only reason to do something outside of that is if you're feeling behind, and you can't point outside of the Antlion fight, which got a little gross. You can't really look at his play and be like, oh man, behind. So he's being pragmatic and thorough, because I think he's sitting there realizing that he's done just about everything that you would need to.
Yep, and also I do kind of like the play of fighting the moon fights rather than checking the Earth spots, because with the choice to do moon, it's likely that anyone who just sort of checked those Earths would be ahead anyways. So if you're already behind, no point making yourself behind to those who just went to the moon and started clearing it.
Wonderful point, and I agree 9,000%. You can't hedge your bets. In seeds like this with players of this caliber, you make a decision, you got to own it, you got to go with it. I agree wholeheartedly. Possum could get underground, but I guess now he can't, so whoopsies.
Good thing there's no underground bosses left for Possum to check then.
Yeah, that's true. Well, he'll probably be up to the Crystal Sword altar, which he's there already. Apologies. Did he have a save scum set up there also?
I believe just rewalked from the Ribbon Room save point, not too far. S-Grunt is bonking Yang getting Leviathan as J-Brun gets the pan, and Tybalt walks down the moon.
Well, Tybalt of our 4 is closest to Possum. Possum is more or less in the lead, and Tybalt is going to the Crystal Sword altar. So, if this ends up being Twin Harp or Axis 2, this could get very interesting. If you're Tybalt, it's really hard to fight one moon boss, get some progression, and to leave. That's a very difficult ask and a very difficult thing to do. Let's see what's in the spot. Oh, he's not going to fight it. That is
Well,
Earth
that's the
Crystal.
Earth Crystal, so if Possum chases it, we'll have 2 boss checks for him, only 1 for us. At this point, we don't have no clue where the Twin Harp could be. Could be Zot, could be Murasamic, could be Cave Bahamut. And for Possum, it could even be the Odin Throne, so he's heading down and chasing the new boss check. One of the last 2 that were locked to him.
Tibble, God that he is, has decided to use a siren for some glorious pink puffs. I love this so much.
It's if he gets an adamant armor.
Well, adamants are off on this seed. I think Tibble is just being. Oh, can you? Oh, my apologies. I'm corrected by Miss Kitty that even when no adamants is on, you can get one here. I cannot tell. I'm having flashbacks of my childhood. My brother and I grinded forever without sirens, of course, in the American game, in that room, and we never found a pinktail, like ever, like literally ever. The amount of time I spent. So, life glitching the pink puffs too. That's impressive. Well,
All the XP you could ever want.
like right now, I don't even care where Odin is. Like I do, but not that much because this is such a delicious moment. I don't even need any of J-Max cooking. I am so full in this moment. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Oh, Possum's going up the Tower of Zot. Okay, well, all right. Well, he's going to go ahead and find his King Queen Evelyn, kill them quickly, and then we'll see if it's at Zot too.
All right. At this point, it's going to be a 50. It's a 50-50 between 2 spots. For our knowledge, for Possum, still has 2 other unknown spots left from Earth to also potentially check.
Right. Thank you for focusing on the match. I'm devastated here. We didn't get any package bosses. We didn't get adamants from a glorious pink puff check. I was sitting here feeling sorry for myself, and I appreciate you keeping us on track here. All right. Hey,
At least
Foo.
XP. Hi, Foo. I don't know that you have a spot in this party, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean the HP's higher. Well, maybe not at this point. The only person he would take that over is Porum. I don't think so. I think he's just going with it. I don't think it matters. With the melee output they have, they're going to be doing like 11, 12,000 a round. Well, probably 11,000 a round. I don't think it matters. Kane, in a bit of irony, in the Rosa spot.
And at this point, as a runner, you're just like, come on, boss. Come on, boss. Who are you? Oh. Bye, Porum.
Oh, rip. All right, well, what do I know? Okay, so either it's this or we got to find that twin harp. Which, given that it's Possum, that would be amazing.
And here we go. Now watch this skip the twin harp, so it's impossible for runners to choose the twin harp.
Not only is that possible, it's likely because K-Main has a higher chance of giving the goods. And I believe we've seen all of the other key... Oh, we haven't seen Sand Ruby yet.
Or the Adamant Rock.
And well... It's 1 hour and 31 minutes in. We are in Go mode with one Possum Morpheus, who will more than likely be heading off to Troya to go ahead and use his pass. And this Z fight is going to be very, very well in hand. Meanwhile, Escrunt is going to go ahead and take on his Kainatsu, completing that objective. J-Brun is going to find his disappointment at the element spot. And just a crystal gauntlet from Zatu. So Twin Harp
Oh.
is a trap and it's out there for somebody.
Our hopes for music is not yet dashed. We just need someone to choose to do the top of the moon boss fights before the bottom. Unfortunately, that someone is not going to be Tybalt for music lovers' sake. But for Tybalt's sake, is going and doing a potentially quicker route.
Possum, understanding that there's no parking where he was at, so took a swag route. And I'm seeing, Joe, I think we've been delightful. I think we've been entertaining, and yet we got a couple of people in here that are falling asleep on us. What's up with these Z flags?
Well, we're about to face the final boss, and it's a very scary fight. Likes to just attack the entire party all the time for loads of damage. Even with reduced magic spot, it wouldn't be nice to find it in just Antlion Cave for most runners. I'm sure some would be fine for it. So we, instead of randomizing location, randomize the sprite that we get to see. So that leads us to a very, very important question that I'll leave my co-commentator to ask.
Why, thank you, and I'll leave chat to go ahead and hit us with the follow questions. But tonight, thanks to Scowl Kitty and her 8,423-ish sprites that we have, whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
I hope it's cute.
I hope so too. Although then here we are hoping that something cute gets, destroyed. But then it's like, what does that say about us as people? Like morally, so only ugly things should get. I get into a whole thing. I know. It's a whole Catholic guild thing going on over here. Let's see who we got. We've got a crystal being thrown out here.
True colors are emerging. Disappointment of a boss will be showing up on Jay Brun's side. Ooh.
No clue.
I believe that's Final Fantasy XII, if I'm not wrong.
All right.
We'll, looking at this party, we're just going full force, nerfing with nuke, zerking with everyone, hoping that the nuke doesn't ever go to Edward. It always goes to Edward.
Love it. Love everything about it.
Don't need to try to predict that one. 90% of the time it hits Edward.
That's great. Honestly, all you got to do is life him back up with this damage. Maybe they do a full Big Bang, but both Edge and Cecil will survive it, even if it goes right into rocks. This fight is not in any kind of danger whatsoever. It's in danger for Palom. Palom, the child they brought to the moon, be like, hey, buddy, can you just stand right here in the center? It's going to be fine. Shh. Okay.
Don't worry. All you have to do is throw this crystal.
Right.
And then it'll be cool.
And then we're going to drink all this wine. It's fine, buddy. Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, my goodness gracious. All right, Eddie is back with the living. Tons of damage being done, and our remaining runners are trying to go ahead and find their way to that Earth Crystal on the Crystal Sword altar, which is not a very intuitive choice in the slightest. There's not a whole lot of drama with this fight. He's doing about 10,000 rounds, a little more, which is a really sweet spot. Not even bothering to nerf. I'd be surprised if Possum's even holding the controller at this point.
And Jay Brun says, Edward, you gave us some good help. You helped us get started. You helped us through the seed. You can take a rest. We'll go and bring in second Cecil.
Is this a nerf attempt, or is he trying to swag nuke this? Good target.
Oh. Definitely a nerf.
If he timed it right. Knowing him, he probably did. Yeah, this is over. Eddie might hilariously die. Oh, get your GGs in chat. One swing away. We have our restreamed winner, Possumorpheus, with an hour time of 1 hour, 37 minutes and 16 seconds. Also as our overall winner, GGs to Possum for a very thorough demonstration of just about where all the bosses are, and just a clinic on how to go ahead and do this efficiently. And judging by the dinging in my ears, I do believe we are joined by this evening's winner, Possumorpheus. Possum, GG's, buddy.
Thank you. GG's on the wonderfully rolled seed hiding the boss behind, like, one of the only two things that weren't readily available. Thanks.
I mean, you can talk.
Thanks, Scala.
You hear the overwhelming joy. You can't fake that joy. Like, she's like, oh, you're so welcome.
To be fair, it's deserved. Like, I jokingly unreadied just before the race started, and then re-readied just to tease Scala for thanking everyone for readying up. And this was the just punishment, so it falls on me. This is what I get.
You did this to all the other runners?
Well, that's a
good point.
That's a them problem. That's,
So hold up. All right. So karmically, you pulled kind of a snotty move, so you got punished, right? So you were a little selfish with your decision, so you got punished. But that decision, and you think it all evens out because of that, and yet your selfishness is causing our runners to look for an earth crystal that's buried. So does that mean you have some retribution coming your way in some form later on?
Always.
Always. That says a lot. Well, despite talking about the fate of your soul in the days, weeks, months, and years to come, why don't you tell us your thoughts about the seed?
It was fun. Lots of early power. Like, I dove Eblin initially, found a Stardust Rod and an Ogre Axe, and I was like, oh, okay, that's pretty good. And a Lunar Staff, okay, that's not bad either. So if I find a White Mage, I can maybe beat some things to death. If I find a Black Mage, I got a Stardust Rod. If I find either a Cid or a Kain, I can use an Ogre Axe. And I was like, well, let's go to Hobbs, see who's there. It was a Porum, which, she almost made it to the end of the game. But she had that Lunar Staff, and she did a little bit of work. But the power just kept flowing from there. Like, the aggressive start, not actually looting that much for T Wildish, and then just, getting the spoon and letting Eddie go burr, and then getting the Excal from Eblin Castle, because if you got a Cecil and it's T Wildish, you got to do Eblin Castle. Antlion was super sketchy. I did not appreciate that my Eddie kept getting bopped repeatedly while I was trying to cover him. And ran out of Cure 2s, used an elixir in that fight, ran out of life potions, basically. Like, it was going off the rails very quickly, but barely scraped through. Not punished for not shopping, thankfully. So it was fun. There was a lot of power. It was just very trolly where the bosses were.
Yeah, it's interesting for a DKC Eddie's start to hear that there was a lot of power is not really expected, but you're absolutely right. Yeah, your Cure 2s, you had D Lunas at an early spot, and you had Mylon Z at an early spot.
Yeah.
And so down with the Cure 2s there. We were talking about, your decisions with your routing, and you dropped all your save scums, and we'll get to that in a moment. And I was saying that the only time that you might have felt even a little bit behind was because of how trolly that Antlion fight was. But you also went there very early. When you got through that, did you think, oh man, that took a while? I wonder if I'm neck and neck or behind? Or were you like, I got here at 4 minutes. Of course, it took a long time. Everything's fine.
I mean, with it being a boss and you have to check everything, and I thought because of my early loot aggression, I figured if anything, I would have been breaking even at that point, because a lot of folks love looting on T Wildish. Realistically, you just need to find a happy little power balance and go. And yes, that fight took a while, but what's the fast route through that? Leveling El Palom to Quake, and that means you went down the hook route to start, which means you gave up 2 to 3 minutes to get that Palom, to even get Quake. Maybe you have Cure 2s, maybe you took an extra fight for Blink on Porum, but I mean, at best, I'm breaking even there, so I wasn't really worried about being behind. I knew that my early game was clean, and it was more just a matter of just how do I route this as efficiently as possible, make as many checks at one time as possible. And everything just kind of led to one another until the Earth Crystal, Zatu had the goods, I was like, well, I have the Darkness Crystal now. Let's go fly around and check all the bosses and go to the Giant because it's 2 bosses, and those 8 didn't pan out. And I was like, all right, well, we already know Barren Basement's a CPU. I guess I could have a Twin Harp or an Earth Crystal, and that would suck. But I kind of faded that already, and I feel like if it were there, someone would be done, because that was available a long time ago. So I was like, I'm not going back to CPU. I don't really feel like doing package. For the same reason, someone would have done that. I know that's an Asuka favorite, for example, and she's in this race. And Zot 1, like, again, if it's there, it's there. Like, I'll lose to that, it's fine. I'll play the odds.
So, what prompted your decision to go ahead and face check bosses once you got Darkness Crystal, as opposed to full clearing? Was it the fact that you had done so much already, there were only 2 key items that could lead to more bosses, and just mathematically there were more faces to check than key items to go to? Or
Yes. So mathematically at that point, the Darkness Crystal opens up 8 bosses, whereas the remaining key items that I had left was Earth Crystal, Earth Crystal, Twin Harp, the package check, which had been open a while, and I guess like that was it. So it was like those 3 bosses that were in my mind. So it's 3 versus 8. Like, I'm going to the moon and I'm gonna face check. I'm gonna play the odds. I always play the odds, and it worked out ultimately here, but it took a while to get there. So it was fun, but yeah, that was just purely mathematics.
Sounds like you. Judge, I'm sorry. I don't know when to shut it. Do you have any questions for him?
You covered most with early, middle, late game questions. What was your favorite boss that you found in a location? Like, favorite matchup that you are glad you either didn't have to or that you faced?
The Kanatsu. I thought that was a really neat location for it because it was right on the edge of being able to do it or not. And you're absolutely able to do it, but like in my case, I needed exactly Cecil to not get hit first, and in the first go around he did, so I lost that 1 in 5. But I thought that was a really cool fight because we had the power to take it. I didn't think I could do it with Eddie and get the damage in time. I think it had to be Cecil to survive the wave. And so I hit Edward and then brought him back out just as insurance. So I thought that was kind of the coolest little fight. I guess second would probably be, the fight that I didn't have to deal with, which was Golbez at, I believe, Value Cave. All 37,000 health of that I wanted nothing to do with.
Yeah, I mean, the magic is low there, but it's just going to take an eternity. The magic is low there, but it's just
the Eblin shop.
It's just going to take an eternity.
Nope.
Okay.
Don't care about using Thor Rages when I have power overwhelming. Like, turtles aren't an issue, as long as you don't get, the incorrect people bopped. Like Cecil in that case, I know that even at the Leviathan spot, I can drop the waves down enough. Like, if it's a turtle at, Leviathan, it's got 35,000 whatever health. Asura spot is like 23,000. I know I can get through that. With a little bit of chip damage and a little bit of help from everyone. So I wasn't concerned. Like, if it's on the hook route, it doesn't matter. I've got a Spoonword and an Excal Cecil. A turtle on the hook is irrelevant. So, like, the Thor Rages just are unnecessary at that point. You can DPS race the turtle.
Speaking of DKC, what was behind the decision to go ahead and finish that fight and then hard reset out? I thought maybe we were going for the XP. Was it like, wonder if I can do this? Okay, cool. And then you reset out? Or was it like muscle memory to finish it?
I was like, oh, hey, yeah, I'll finish this. It'll be fine. And then it was like, oh, yeah. Oops. We don't need to do this. We don't need the XP. We're done.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Save the cutscenes and the flight.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I think the only thing that you missed was there was an Avenger in Eblin in the second trap chest, if you'd gone a little further. I know how much you love that. And
that's a shame, but that's okay. I mean, that's just being greedy at that point. So,
Well, for someone with questionable virtues who might be tested karma, I just thought maybe that, I don't know. I got nothing. I'm clearly out of questions, words, consonants, vowels, and sentence structure. Joe, do you have anything to add?
I think the two of us have covered all the questions in my mind, so GG's Get to Possum. Thanks for putting on a very nice show on how to use power.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And John, you had Brickety, you had mentioned the save scums. Was there a question about that?
No, I just it. Yeah, I lurk on Twitch a lot, and like I'll watch like a lot of like Link to the Past Randomizer and other things, and there are certain things that you just do, that you watch, you just take for granted, right? Just little tech along the way. And it happens in this game too, like a D machine grind, as I've recently gotten the rust off. I mean, the timing of that can be terrible, but top runners like yourself do it like it's nothing. And so just the being 5 steps ahead, having all those save scums set out just for the fastest possible way to go ahead. And if this is a zonk get back, just props, bro. It was
Gotcha.
It was solid.
No, I appreciate that. It's always fun to be able to utilize all 4 save slots. So they're there. Might as well use them.
All right. Well, thank you for the full tour of just about everything. We appreciated it, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you both for doing comms, Joe and John. I appreciate both of y'all. J-Mac for, I believe, pushing the buttons and keeping them away from the mouths of certain possums. And for Scala, of course, for rolling this fantastic little seed. So thank y'all. And apologies, my Discord is coming through the echo on the music. Hopefully that'll go on as soon as I leave here. So thanks again, y'all. And everyone have a great night.
Not bad. That was our winner, Possum Morpheus, with first overall, but we still got other people that are finishing out this race. Tybalt is finding his go mode as we speak. Jay Brun is taking on the Crystal Sword Altar and will be finding his Earth Crystal soon. And Escron is still on his journey, but will find it there shortly, we hope. Sure. All right. Thank you, DJ Skullkitty, with some OG FF2. If you know, you know. So, Tybalt is in go mode with his crystal and be entering his Z fight. Jay Brun is doing the correct decision, taking his Earth Crystal and following that, which will lead him to his go mode as well. Escrunt head into the Luca Cave of Sadness, which will lead to some kind of zonk and a boss and a hard reset. Yeah, we'll see how Tybalt goes ahead and take on the Z fight.
I think there's going to be some wine involved.
As all good things have. Just want to, I know we said it earlier, but that was an excellent opportunity. These runners have put on a wonderful show for us, and they have shown us a lot of this game. Please give these runners a follow. Tybalt is usually up pretty late. Escron does a lot of asyncs. Jay Brun is pretty active on the ladder, and I have a soft spot for him as an Artibo brethren of mine. Probably the best part about this community is not even the game, and the game's pretty awesome, it's the people. If you are interested in learning more about this, if you are lurking and we've said words like Nerf and you don't see any footballs, or Big Bangs and we're not talking about science, please join our Discord. Our Discord has incredible people, kind people that love to talk about this game, to answer questions, to help you get introduced to this. Maybe you grew up with this game as a kid. Maybe this is something that you want to get into, but you're not experienced with it. maybe you're looking for just a very restorative use of your time, please hop on the Discord, ask questions. We are friendly, we are kind, we don't bite, and it's just a privilege to be a part of this community.
Yeah, people are great. The games are fun. Races are fun. Just playing the game is fun. And again, the people.
1,000,000%. Xeno's correct. Yeah, if you're wondering about Senator Crocodile, we'll go ahead and explain it. So Eskrant doing a bold move and is going to go through his package check. Also disappointing with this trolley seed that we have learned is actually Possum's fault, even though Scala is the one that rolled it. J-Brun heading toward go mode, and let's see what Tybalt does here. Tybalt's got a Sid anchor, mixing it up a little bit, and that Porum only has about 1,700 health, so she's a little squishy.
And we Berserk glitched the spoon word, so he is a fist mage, allowing us to both dart the spoon and have Edward do spoon word damage. Unfortunately, he is now dead and we no longer have a spoon.
Right. In my opinion, worth it. Anyone that watches my stream knows that my feelings on Edward are not subtle. So I found that to be quite delicious. But I love the tech. We were just talking earlier about, the tech that we see and the things that these runners can go ahead and figure out to do. It's not an uncommon glitch and trick, but it's not done that often, and Tybalt did it beautifully. So it's a great catch.
Yeah, to anyone wondering, the way the Berserk glitch works is when you go and cast the Berserk spell on someone, if you have their item menu opened and unequip a weapon or swap out a weapon as they get berserked, they will be berserked with the weapon they had equipped, but you can get the item into their inventory. So it's a method of passing crystal swords amongst multiple Cecils or giving yourself extra darts if you so chose.
Bolt's a little bit looks pretty stabilized. Those big bangs are coming pretty quick. I think we'll have to ask him what as Eskrant sees his package sadness, we'll have to ask him what Sid is wearing, if there's a curse ring or a dwarf axe or anything. Those big bangs are coming in a little bit quick. He's doing a lot of damage, but he's had to do a little bit more recovery than Possum did, who kept Hallam down basically the entire seed.
Yeah. But Z-Fight is under decent control. We have an Elixir, so even if Porum goes down, we can restore Cecil's HP. But Porum manages to live, so we'll heal up Porum, and J-Brun finishes off Odin to get the crystal, as Eskrant looks to be heading up Zot 1.
That's pretty much a combo platter there of Big Bang right into Medio. But this Z is not long for this world. If that swing doesn't do it, one more definitely will. That means we're only at 12,000 HP, but it does do it. Get your GGs in chat, please, for our 5th overall finisher and our 2nd on Restream. Tybalt finishing at a time of 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 38 seconds. A very well-run seed, and GG's to Tybalt.
Yeah. In between Possum and Tybalt, we ended up seeing Cubs Rule in 2nd, 152.15, Lord Bobry in 3rd, 153.55, and Dipwood in 4th, 155.24. GG's to all those runners as well.
Yep. That's a real cluster of finishes there. So it kind of speaks to Possum's ability. And those are very good runners. They're all clustered 2nd through 5th there. So also speaks to the trolling nature of the seed too, of just how buried that Earth Crystal was. If you had something that where it was on package or Zot 1 or something like that, or even at the Giant, you probably would have seen some even shorter times. So we've got some apples going out on J-Brun's side to go ahead and bolster up some of the to some of the HP. Probably worried about big bangs. But what I'm worried about is not stuttering in awe of Tybalt, who ran a beautiful seed. Tybalt, GG's, my friend.
GG's.
Can you settle something for me real quick?
Yeah.
Is it Tybalt or Tybalt?
Either way, potato.
Bro, it's your name.
Like, look, I say Tybalt. Some people say Tybalt. It works either way.
Don't you feel like you have ownership of what people call you?
Like I said, it's potato.
All right,
Either way.
All right. Well, self-proclaimed Tybalt, GG's. What are your thoughts on the seed, my friend?
It was a trolley seed.
A little bit. A lot of
I
it.
saw the alt gauntlet at the moon. I'm like, nope.
I mean, that spot's not terrible, but that's fair.
But I saw the times. I'm like, this isn't right. Like, just why I went to the giant, and then of course I see somebody typing. I'm like, okay, it can't be giant. Gotta go back to the moon. And it was just itching in the back of my head, going, what if it is a giant too? What if it is there? And so I finished like a possum finished. I'm like, I know possum's not gonna do the alt gauntlet. Magus sisters maybe the bottom of the moon. Giant, I could see him doing. All right, fine, I'll go back.
Yeah, it was trolling for sure. One of my favorite parts of your play was your beautifully aggressive attack on CPU in the Baron Castle. Can you talk about your decision to go ahead and do that?
I had Spoonward, and I had Avenger Excal Cecil. Like, I had the power.
You just went for it.
I just went for it.
Beautiful. Loved every second of it.
I mean, Power Shirt, Spoonward, Excal Avenger Cecil, and Murrah Longsword Edge with the Berserk Pour. I'm like, it's fine.
And it was. It was a little close, a little dicey at the end, but man, it was calculated. It was gorgeous.
Yeah, Pour, I'm taking the Globe 199. I'm like, well, it's either I win or I lose. Either way. I do believe it is a binary binary situation there.
What was your favorite combination in this boss hunt of boss and location that you found and either fought or chose not to fight?
Well, I mean, Odin being hidden at Zot, I thought he might be at Zot 1, which is why I checked it earlier, but I mean, no Ant Lion at Ruby, please. That's just mean. I mean, granted, I had power overwhelming, but no, that's mean.
Is there, without the benefit of foresight, right? Because, is there any routing that you would have done differently, not because of where things ended up being, which I know sounds ridiculous, but just because objectively, blindly, like maybe there was a better rationale for a decision? I mean, you showed us the entire game. I mean, there's very little to complain about. But is there anything that you looking back on, it's like, maybe I shouldn't have done that check?
Not forgetting to do Fabul first time around, because when I went to check Pan, I couldn't remember if I had done Fabul or not. And I'm like, did I do Fabul? And Tower Key, having the Tower Key, I would have gone up straight to Tower before even doing Sheila 1.
Oh, true.
That's the only thing I can think of differently that I would have done, because it was just, I can't remember if I've done Fabul. Uh-oh.
Well, I mean, you showed a lot of tech. Well, Joe pointed out the Berserk glitch, how you're able to go ahead and get the spoon out of Eddie's hand and then have it available for Edge to throw. That was slick. That was really nicely done.
Yeah, I misread the flags and thought adamant armors were on, so I'm like, oh, Pinktail, adamant Spoonward, and then I get a Dragoon Lance, and I'm like, oh.
Oh, that's
okay.
Right. You were our god among men. How have we not talked about this? How did I forget? Man, I need to sleep more. The pink huff grind decision. Can you tell us everything?
I gotta meme sometimes. Like, I felt super behind after forgetting Fabul, and so I think checking the chat, I'm like, if I'm gonna lose, I'm gonna lose in style. And doing pink buffs is just something I like to do. And I showed off the fact that, yes, you can coffin them, you can size them, you can hourglass them to make them free.
I've been playing this rando for like, I don't know, 18 months, and the amount of new things I continue to learn and pick up on is it's endless. I never stop learning new things. and everything you just mentioned is brand new knowledge for me, and it's delicious, and it fills me completely. So that was awesome. That was absolutely awesome.
One of these days, the adamant armor will drop. One of these days.
No, we can't
Can
be
I rest
done.
now? Oh man. Well, between your memeing, self-proclaimed memeing, and your skills, you put on a wonderful show for us, and we appreciate you so much. That's all I've got. Joe, do you have anything for him?
No, just thanks for putting on a good show, volunteering for Restream. Always fun to watch you.
Not a problem. Always great to put on a show. Thanks for the restream from Scala, J-Mike doing the tracking, and both the commentary from you, Brick and Joe. I usually watch these back, and I always love the commentary. So,
Well, hopefully we did not let you down. Lord knows you didn't let us down with your play.
all right, have a good one, everybody.
Have a wonderful night.
In here.
Have a good night.
All right, take care. All right. While we were yammering away, Jay Grunt, speaking of the devil, Jay Brun, finished out, and all right, S Grunt, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing okay, I think. So I've reached the point there where I knew I was going to need to go digging through the moon to find either the Earth Crystal or the Harp to unlock one of the last two boss locations that I hadn't checked, and I'm not willing to waste my time on that.
That's a fair decision. Yeah, it's like me looking for my keys it's buried. It was Earth Crystal on Crystal Sword Altar leading to Zot 2 to get to Odin.
Yeah, so I hear.
Yeah, it was as gross as it sounds.
How did you feel about the seed outside of Odin locations?
Well, I'm generally not a fan of boss hunts. Turtle in Fey March, Biden turning up into Super Cannon was a nice surprise, but I felt like I was running around doing all of the checks without much in the way of direction for the longest time up until I got that 10th key item and just decided to go take on Turtle and then head up to the moon after that looking for Odin. So it always felt a bit awkward going through this, I think.
Yeah, it was Antlion on the hook route, required Turtle at Ashura. It was not the kindest seed that there ever was. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten through worse hook routes than that before, but that was still a slog for sure.
Absolutely. But these are the seeds that build us up and teach us new tech, and in 5 or 10 seeds from now, you'll come across something similar like, oh, I remember that. I remember dealing with that. Now I know what to do, and it'll go maybe a little easier.
Well, as someone who has a penchant for crafting flex, I'm a firm believer that if you're going to be doing boss hunts, you should not require all the boss hunts, because you'll always turn up the edge case like this one, where you have to go digging really deep into the scene in order to find absolutely everything you're looking for, and that's not fun for anyone.
Estegron, excuse me. Don't you know that the first rule of free enterprise is that we want to go ahead and enjoy the pain of our runners before we get started? It's like, I hope that it's all gauntlet at the Ogo spot, which leads to a demist to darkness, so that the CPU spot can go have DKC and there's no Eddie. Like, this is what we do. It's like Gladiator, bro. And we're just sitting here with thumbs up, thumbs down, in tears. Are you not entertained?
Well, I mean, that's true if you're sitting in the audience here, but I'm a firm believer in if you're not having fun, why are you playing this?
Oh,
That's
100%.
definitely true. So you ended up finding 30 of the 32 bosses. Did you have any favorite combinations of boss and locations that you either fought, didn't fight, just thought were fun combinations to find?
The single most amusing boss that I found throughout that entire seed was Wyvern at Burning 2, just because it's so slow at that point, or it can be so slow at that point that you get the single nuke in between attempts, and you can just even with that fairly underpowered party that I had taking into it, you can just chip away at it until it dies.
Totally fair. All right. Well, I thank you for running. You really did do well. It's just one of those things where it's you know, I mean, you can go down the wrong path so easily on a boss hunt.
Yeah, I absolutely could have finished that. It's at that point, it's not worth my time.
For sure. And we get that. I've seen you run your asyncs. You're a very good runner. You're a beautiful soul, and it was just one of those randos thing tonight, you know.
Yeah, if I want this kind of challenge, I'll go play one of my solo or double Falcon % seeds that I roll every now and again. Those are actually very interesting puzzle seeds, and if people haven't seen them, go check them out.
As someone who ran the double Tella one recently, they are definitely an experience.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Oh, I double tell. Oh man, how many stones can miss from 5 different slots?
But you only get 2 Tellas, not 5.
Yeah, but
That's
yeah.
part of what makes it fun.
Oh my goodness. All right, my friend. Thank you so much for a wonderful race. We appreciate you.
Yeah, and thanks for your commentary. Thanks, Scholar, for the restream. Thanks, JMac, for tracking. And I'll see you the next time I'm on one of these restreams, or behind the scenes, as it might be. Take care.
Take it easy. I mean, dinner is good. Was it 10 o'clock? Oh man, I gotta eat. Oh, right. I apologize. So Jay Brown has declined an interview. He's going to eat dinner, which reminded me I needed to eat dinner. That pink puff check sustained me for a while, but I think I'm just about out of time. Joe, this was fun. Thank you so much for doing comms with me.
Yeah, lots of fun doing comms with you as well. If you stick around, we will be rating our winner, Morpheus, who is going to be doing a VOD review of Funnel Cakes that Funnel Cakes submitted. So he'll be watching, essentially watching a VOD of Funnel Cakes and giving tips and that on how you can improve and little things to think about. So it'll be lots of fun.
Possum is an excellent teacher. He's very clear. He does a lot of explanations on his stream. Definitely worth a watch. Thank you again to JMac, to Joe, to Scala for our restreaming, and thank all of you for watching and keeping this community going strong. I had a blast tonight. We hope that you did too, and you guys have a wonderful night. Y'all take care.